happening, ladies and gents? Your Rumble loving creator is getting his Rumble in tenfold, and this one comes in the form of COIORVIS's Phantom Joycons. Let's not waste a second more and let's dive in. No, actually I lied. COIORVIS sent an extra pair to give to one of you, so stick around till the end to know how to participate. So everything you already know to be on a Joy-Con is present, but to be more specific, face buttons, shoulders, and triggers are on mechanical buttons, which, starting with face buttons, these controllers made me realize that while I don't like D-pads with sharp corners, I absolutely love face buttons that have them. As long as the buttons are wide enough, and it is the case here, they are much wider than original Joy-Cons, little bitty ones. As for the D-pad, it is on membrane, and yes, the edges are not sharp. It's like these guys read my mind. The shoulder buttons also have a bit of travel distance, being mechanical, and they feel awesome. While the travel feels shorter on the inner part of the button, they click just fine from anywhere you push them. As for the triggers, they are not analog per se, but they are mechanical. They do have a bit of travel distance, which is quite satisfying. I'm sorry I keep jumping from one button to another. Back on the D-pad, it is membrane, it is perfectly flat, and here's what I appreciate from it. That is probably the safest D-pad I've ever seen on a controller, and I'm grateful for that. It doesn't have some weird over-the-top design. It also doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. Rather, this thing is made so neutral that it's just impossible to hate or dislike even, but don't go expecting that it'll be your favorite most D-pad ever, and personally, I'm more than okay with that. There is one more button that I didn't mention was mechanical, the extra ones next to the shoulders, M1 and M2 respectively. As for every other buttons we didn't mention, minus, plus, the function ones, they're all tactile. Let's go towards the sticks. They are Hall effects, so you catch my drift. Magnet base, low dead zones, no drift, higher precisions, and longer lasting, all the good stuff. They are large sticks, and to describe them in one word, amazing. They have this slight tire-like shape on the radius and are made of a rigid rubber feel and a concave shape. Definitely one of the shining aspects of this controller, and while finding Joy-Cons that have great sticks is not that impossible these days, very few have as great an execution as COIORVIS. The next feature is one that I'm happy to forfeit for everything else that these ones have, which is that there is no RGB of any kind, not even around the sticks. By now you may have noticed on each controllers you have two buttons, one bearing bullets and the other a gear. So it's very straightforward. The bullets are to activate turbo. All you gotta do is hold the bullets and push any buttons on the same side controller. For example, hitting once on A while holding the bullets will activate turbo. You'll cycle from 3 modes, and this controller does things a little different, which I very much like. The first mode is no turbo, naturally. The second mode, and you'll notice the red indicator light comes up, it means that pushing the button you activate will make it have turbo. For the record, each buttons behave independently, so if you want B and A, you would have to do both at a time. And when pushing the button, of course, the turbo will occur. The third mode, when you click it, as you can see, nothing happens, but pushing that button again will act as an on-off switch for the button to actuate itself without you needing to push it. As well, you can change the frequency by holding the bullet and pushing the respective side analog up to increase the frequency or down to decrease. Last, if you hold the bullets for about 4 or 5 seconds, it'll wipe any turbo you currently have on that side. The gear operates about the same, holding it for 2 seconds and the LED will come up. That means it's ready to record. If you push one button and then the M1 or M2 depending on the side, and then push the gear again, it'll register as this one button. But you can also record a series of commands, up to 16 to be exact, with up to 300 millisecond delay between each input. Once you record a sequence, you push it again to register, and that sequence will now be the button. Now, much like turbo, the sequence will only work if it is using buttons on the respective side, and just as well, if you hold the gear for 4 to 5 seconds, it'll reset values back to its default, which for M1 on the left Joy-Con is shoulder L, and for M2 on the right Joy-Con, it is shoulder R. I addressed it from the beginning, and now to expand further, these Joy-Cons have, for all intents and purposes, HD rumble. Beyond the fact that this is different plastic and shape, I cannot discern in any possible way a difference versus original Joy-Cons. To make sure, I even tried the game that shocked us all with 1-2 switch with guessing the balls, and the effect is as believable on the Phantoms as it is on the original Joy-Cons. Now, it's not the first controller I reviewed that have proper HD rumble. The Nova from GameSir has rumble that feels exactly like the Switch Pro controller and is able to achieve as subtle vibrations or highly defined ones, and this is exactly what COIORVIS gives us with these ones. I expect we'll see this a whole lot more. In fact, I'm expecting to receive the Nixie Warrior controller in a few days/weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if that one does as well, but this video is not about that. Let's stay the course. That to me is huge. If ever I was going back to Joy-Cons versus the Hyperion Pro or Doyoki that I reviewed, it was precisely because of rumble, but now I have zero reasons to ever go back to regular Joy-Cons. I could decide to use Doby's attachment that I reviewed because, well, it is excellent, but it doesn't have that awesome feature, so I'm torn right now. What is it you say? You know what's more excellent than both the Doby and the Phantoms? Oh, absolutely. I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. That would be amazing. And you could let me know if there are Joy-Cons that you are more excited about than these ones. Maybe I could review them for you in the future. So here's a few more thoughts about these. The ergonomics are really nice. It has a small bump in the back of each Joy-Cons, not too exaggerated, but not too slim either. It's a happy middle that I would assume most people would like, but that depends on how big your hands are, I guess. One thing that unfortunately not enough manufacturers do, but COIORVIS have, is the sensory aspect. It'll be hard to show, but basically, controllers shouldn't use the same plastic everywhere. It makes for a subpar sensory experience, in my opinion, and COIORVIS decided to use a slightly more rugged plastic on the D-pad. The shell itself is softer, but the face buttons are even softer than the shell. And then of course, the back grip is the rugged most part, but it is also dotted. As we mentioned earlier, the sticks are a rigid rubber, and in being so, they feel different versus everything else I just named. It's a small detail, but one that goes a long way for long play sessions in terms of comfort. But also, I like to think that these designs choices do more for your reflexes as well. Maybe I'm splitting hair right now, but I genuinely feel like that accounts for more data when making split-second decisions and reactions. What do you guys think? Do you feel like sensory aspect of controllers are important? Let me know in the comment box. There isn't much else to say about these ones, but there is one other aspect which I'm a bit surprised with. One of the reasons why I openly say I prefer Cradle controllers is because you have zero wiggle from Joy-Cons. In my mind, the rails have always had as much importance for wiggle room as the Joy-Con themselves, but ever since using these, I've been surprised at how little there is. Not a little, not even, like there's no wiggle, and I didn't put some electric tape to use as a bumper or anything like that. They just happen to be built with nanometer precision, these things, because they don't move at all. I'll put on a screen of a few more features that do not need too much explanations, but I will specify that, as is the case with many third-party controllers, these ones don't have a USB-C to charge separately at the bottom, but they are compatible with any middle attachment bridge to recharge, such as this one. Otherwise, they recharge just fine when connected to the Switch, and yes, they can be used wirelessly as well and have the SL and SR side buttons, as well as gyro. That leaves us with just the price to address. You can buy the Phantoms directly from COIORVIS' website. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find them on Amazon. I don't think they're listed there, but I did find them on AliExpress, and they happen to be a bit more affordable on Ali as well. I had to jump through a few hoops for some reason to find them, because when typing in the search bar, they didn't come up. So I have put a link below to save you the trouble. It is an affiliate link. If you prefer a non-affiliated one, let me know and I'll respond to the comment. Guys, I've been doing this for a few months steadily now, and I realize that this is a mind-boggling career to want to build, especially in the current landscape of gaming hardware. I think there are many companies out there that wants to be the next Razer or to have the rise to stardom like GameSir has. This is good for us consumers because we get better and better options, but it also feels like we're constantly exposed to better options. That is the reality of tech. It was like that before, and for some growing markets, it is like that now. So for that reason, I do want to address FOMO. Pace yourselves. If you don't feel the need to get these now, continue supporting your favorite creators by giving them a few minutes a day to educate yourself with videos like this on what's on the market, but if now is not the time to buy, that's fine too. With that said, you could be getting one for free. For the giveaway, you have to live in Canada or the US. All you have to do is make sure to comment on the video, and in 3 weeks from now, I'll be selecting a winner and I will respond to the comment directly. Thank you for watching this far, and if you'd like another review like this one, this is a crazy attachment to add to the Switch Pro controller, which you might already have. And if you were a 90s and 2000s kid, it has a super cool intro that you might relate with. Cheers.